Today, October the 16th. I just welcome my cohort and my wonderful students in this virtual class that we're doing in Photoshop. It is week 7, so it is that halfway point of the semester where we have the reading week off next week. So it gives you time to guys to relax and maybe decompress a little bit with all the stuff you had to deal with. And we're back for another 7 weeks after that, right before the holidays. All right, so keep up the great work and let's continue with our online class. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. I'm copying some files over this morning. I change my laptops from time to time, like everyone, and a lot of my storage files were quite large to export and copy, but I was able to do some of that this morning. It took a while actually, so let me see if it's done copying. Because what I like to show you is basically, oh, it's almost done, I think. I'd like to show you some of the previous projects that are coming up since we're approaching the halfway point, and we finished all the introductory stuff with the software, and you guys did a few assignments for me and a project, of course, the movie poster, which I have to grade still during the break. You have one more project I'm going to introduce to you, which is perfect. It's called the Reading Week, and what a better way to spend the reading week than reading a book. You don't necessarily have to read the book, but if you do and you happen to have a favorite book, this is the project for you. Okay, so this is almost done copying. I'll get back to these items here. These are the book cover projects that my students have done in the past. This is your last print deliverable project. Well, I shouldn't say the last, but it's one of the last projects that I'm giving you. There'll be other print assignments and things you'll be doing, I guess, in a collaboration with the other classes as well. Like we're talking InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, right? So I'm gonna go back to this when it's finished copying here. And in the meantime, let's go to Blackboard and see where we're at on our portal here. So last week, just to quickly recap what we finished, we did the photo retouching class, and a very important one at that, because you get to learn all the professional retouching methods that are used using Adobe Photoshop. So not only that, we did some rendering as well, like sketch rendering. We did a cartoon rendering, dodge and burn, a lot of great things. If you did miss the class, you can watch the video. I do keep it up to date as long as it's done uploading and stuff. It should be fairly uploaded there. We also did some other photo retouching examples here. So we covered a good part, if not almost everything there is to know about photo retouching in Photoshop. And of course, with the AI enhancement capabilities now, it makes it even that much easier, and it's gonna get a little more, I guess, intuitive as you move forward with the program. Some of the fundamentals still remain the same. As long as you know the stuff I'm showing you, it's easy to upkeep and to learn the new methods introduced over time. So that was class number 6. So in this lesson here, if you go to the module, you'll see it's already released for you to look at. It's called the book cover module. So this one happens to land right before your reading week, which is next week. And we're going to do the book cover exercise and introduce the project to you as well. Just like most of the projects I give you, I pretty much walk you through it and show you how to approach the project from start to finish. This way you'll have a clear understanding of the deliverables and the approach and everything that's important. So you'll have a few files here I shared with you. One is I'll start at the bottom. One is the image link sources. This is, I think I shared this with you earlier, even with the movie poster. This is just a refresher of some of the free image sources out there you can get besides relying on Google all the time. Websites like Pexels, Pixabay, and Unsplash are the ones I'm referring to. So basically, that's your links there. I guess it takes you to that one, but by default, you can try the other ones as well. So these are the book cover exercise files. You can use your own sources for this, but it's just easier that we kind of work with something that's already there. So if you want to download this exercise files folder here, go ahead and do that. Just click on the link and it should ask you to download it. I'm going to go to the desktop for now and just download the book cover EX file. While that's downloading, let me check how my other stuff is coming along. Aha, it's almost done. All right. So as you're aware, you do have the composite assignment assigned to you. It's called the ad campaign. And I'm sure the other teachers did a good job explaining to you all the deliverables on their end. But as you're aware, there's it's because it's a composite assignment. You're supposed to use a variety of tools and applications to put this thing together. Realistically speaking, a lot of the professional, approach would be the same thing. You rarely just use one program. Like at that time, I use like 3 different programs myself in most cases when it comes to any type of design. In InDesign, I do my layout. Photoshop, I prep my images. In Illustrator, I take care of my vector files. That's the kind of the triage, I like to call it, of all 3 applications. Not always you have to use 3. Sometimes you use maybe 1 or 2, depending on the job. Illustrator would be like my go-to for finishing things like just to show you some of the stuff I do on my end. I own a creative agency, so things like customers come to me for everything, even printing, because I do a lot of printing still, believe it or not. People still need to have these things printed. But if I show you some of my current jobs I'm dealing with, this is a dealership that I have, and they're one of my clients. So this is the stuff they order from me, on a regular basis. So these are like business cards, and we can see the business cards how they're set up here, and this is how we have to do it in Illustrator. So this is a pure Illustrator job right here. You have the different employees, and they all have a very simple business card setup. So it's like a template. And once these jobs run through, we run them through the printer, and the client always, pays on time, basically. That's the kind of name of the game here. So simple stuff like this that the people need every day, like business cards, letterhead, brochures. At times you can do these things in, InDesign. I like to do business cards in Illustrator. It's a little more, I guess, print friendly oriented when it comes to some of the advanced stuff, even packaging. I did a lot of packaging stuff. I don't think I have my packaging files here, but just to show you some of the simple things that people need every day. Now, a dealership or a, car manufacturer like Jaguar, Land Rover, they're quite um, luxurious brand. So they do have a guideline that you have to follow. So this is like a design guideline that most companies have. You as a designer have to follow these guidelines. So you have like an overview. There's their letterhead formats. Then there's the complement slips. Okay, this is like you guys are familiar with the brand, the Jaguar and Land Rover. Look, business cards is what I'm kind of looking after right now. You got to follow these guidelines because these are company brand type of signatures and important things. By legally, they have to follow these things. So if you don't fall into this legal little spectrum, then they might get in trouble and there'll be some litigation stuff happening. So you have to make sure you follow these brand guidelines. Most companies have these brand guidelines, from fonts to colors to images and things like that. So I'm just showing you that just to give you an example how you can, how you can utilize more programs. Photoshop would not be my choice of software for this. Okay. Obviously, it's a business card with logos and typography and simple design elements. And I didn't have much design freedom because, when they tell you it has to look like this, it has to look like this. You can't change it and get all creative and stuff. It's more like a technical production execution. Okay, so enough with showing you stuff that I've done. I can do that later on for other examples. Let's get back to my files here. I think they're done copying now. There's my files. All right, so the ad campaign. So you're supposed to do things in all programs. So things like Illustrator, you do your typography, some of the logos, preparation, vector files. In Photoshop, which is my class, you're supposed to orchestrate the actual imagery. Okay, so all the images, all the graphics. Sometimes it's not just, pictures. It could be like design elements done in Photoshop, whether it's like a swirl or a texture or some kind of a background effect. That could be also included. So this is my class from 2024. It wasn't that long ago. Seems like time's going too fast. But this is some of the student projects that I've received. Let's start with I guess one of the examples here. So let's be clear on this so you understand what I'm showing you. So I'm gonna spend probably a good, half an hour showing you stuff. So just be ready, and then we'll start the exercise after with the book cover. Your composite assignment's right here. Okay, it's due on the 30th of this month, so you do have still a good 2 weeks to get this delivered. I think it's all across the board with your other classes as well. So this is your composite delivery for my class. A lot of students ask me, well, what do I give you? I tell them usually, give me the whole thing, give me the zip file, and in there I'm going to look for the Photoshop files that were included to aid you into designing your composite assignment, which is the ad campaign. So I'm more interested in the Photoshop delivery. And I think I covered this briefly last week. So this is the stuff I'm looking for. Okay, proper image optimization like CMYK, 300 DPI. Because as a design professional, you have to know how to set this up, and especially in Photoshop, right? Print ready file formats. Okay, you can use PSD files. TIFFs work as well, although they're kind of old and dated. Layer masks. Okay, various selection methods, all the stuff you've learned already. Just more like focusing on the important deliverables for print. Then I get a little more creative here with my criteria. I want to see some layer blends, if you can incorporate that somewhere. Layer styles are optional, but could help with overall presentations. So if you have a way to fit this in, that's fine. A filter here and there, okay? Subtle or drastic could be like a blur filter or a sharpen filter, or just like a filter effect itself in general. And I don't know, I don't think I covered filters in great depth, but we dabbled with them here and there from time to time. It's more like I guess um, it's more like something you explore with as you get creative. Okay, so it's not like something you can just kind of follow like a technique and stuff. So I can definitely show you some filter effects as we move along. So that's for you kind of to look into and see if you can execute that from the creative delivery. Good luck and have fun. And then there's your breakdown. Okay, it is quite the marks, I know, because this is how this is how it's set up basically. So we have to follow what they give us to give you guys. So it's a 3-part magazine ad. The only thing I added on top that the other teachers don't have is web and social media ad. So I want you to be able to convert these ads for social media. Okay. And Photoshop's a perfect software to do that. Even InDesign, if you're going to do a slight layout tweak like the students have. But if Photoshop's your go-to, then you can do it all in Photoshop. So now I'm going to show you what the other students submitted as their final project for their composite assignment, okay? So this is Jagtar, one of my former students. I have a big class here, guys. I got like 45, I think it was like a 40 student cohort we had. So this is Jagtar. This is the ad campaign package. So as you can see, the students gave me pretty much, it's just easier to just give me everything so I can, there's the InDesign file, there's the PDF. So you can look at the PDF, how it was done. There's the 3 ads. This is the Environmental Defense Fund. Okay. And you can see how very cleverly Photoshop was utilized to create this effect. So without Photoshop, you wouldn't have this very creative type of display of imagery promoting the actual cause or the brand or whatever the ad campaign is about. Okay, so that was the execution in terms of the 3 ads that go in a magazine. And then there's the fonts and the links. Now the links will have all the images that were done in Photoshop, so you can see all the PSD files. Okay, so if I was to open up this Photoshop file here, this was how they created that arm effect holding that person there. Here's another one, right? That was all Photoshop stuff. And here's the other one over here. There's one more, right? So that makes up for the delivery and execution of the ad campaign. Now, if I was to go a little further, just to kind of show you the Photoshop techniques demonstrated and used to prepare this imagery, you can see it here. I think there was more in depth, some other stuff that was in the layers panel. I'm just going to close this one down. I think it's one of them here. That was the Earth. There's a master file that I was looking for. There's the other one there. So you can see there's like a transparency added. The background was removed, and there was some other layers here that I think because just the file size was getting too big, we kind of downplayed it. Was it this one here? Right, and there's some of the other effects here. Like you can see how this was all kind of set up in Photoshop to create that effect that the man was sitting on the earth. So whatever you did in Photoshop, just include it in your links folder, and I'm gonna just look for it myself, as opposed to you kind of trying to separate it and make something of it. Okay, so this was the print deliverable format. Now I'm gonna show you the social media posts that became of this. So this is more like a rectangular format because we know like this is 8.5 by 11. This is when you open up a like a magazine or a book or whatever, mostly magazines. They're the most of the time they're this size, 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11, letter size. But for social media, it's different. When you go to the metaverse and all that stuff, then you have things like this, right? So it's more like 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels. I think this was color corrected. So when you do social media, it has to be RGB. You can't do CMYK, okay? And that's how you're doing the social media stuff. And I'm going to show you the Photoshop file now. This is the layer structure that took place to get this to work. So this was some of the typography utilized. If you want to redesign the whole thing in Photoshop, you can, just for social media purposes. Then there's the kids there with the masks. Then there's the grass, there's the earth. So you can see the whole composition here done in Photoshop and all the layer assembly that took place. Layer clipping, masks, stuff you're going to learn in the upcoming classes as well as some of the previous methods implemented, mostly like masking and things like that, right? So you can see how Photoshop was used quite heavily to demonstrate the effect and to produce the message or convey the message. Here's another one over here, just to show you this other one here. This is all right, so you have, again, the same kind of thing. You have all the stuff, all the pollution, all the bad stuff put together, kind of show you what's happening to the environment. And this is the social media part of it. Just to be frank with you with this design, be careful when you're mixing colors like black on a dark blue. It's not as legible. I prefer if this was like perhaps leave in white instead of black, just to kind of have a more of a contrast between the background. So this is the stuff you got to kind of also consider when you're doing any type of design. I don't care if you're using Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, design still has to be conveyed on all three platforms, right? So then we have, let's go one more over here. Right, I already showed you that one. Okay, so enough with that example. Here, the main thing here is the delivery. The delivery was done proper. So there's 3 social media ads. The JPEG is the one that goes to the social media, and the Photoshop is the file that I get to look at to see what you've done. So this is kind of more like what I'm looking for, as well as of course, your print file as well. So you got to give me both. All right. So that was one student there. Let's look at another example. This is the presentation, by the way. So this was the pitch. I think you have to do like a design pitch of your ad and then why you're doing the ad campaign. How's it going to help? What's the motive, right? What's the demographics? Things like that you have to do. I believe that's in your page layout class. So with Roberto, I guess you get to do this kind of stuff and you guys got to present it to him. All right. And then you have the ad campaign itself. So there's the ads. It was 1, 2, 3. Now these are the Photoshop ads. You can see how these people have a little silhouette of their shadow of their negative side of them, like worried, tired, more tired, fatigue, things like that. So that was kind of done in Photoshop, of course, to display. You can look at all the layer assembly that was done here, right? So everything was done quite extensively here with different techniques and stuff, right? And you can see how all this was done all in Photoshop. And then this was the final implementation for the ad campaign. So here's another one over here, just another Photoshop file. So I'm looking forward to see this from you. See, look at all the beautiful layer assembly stuff. This was an image grabbed from the internet with a clipping of the person just standing there. Okay, so and then there's the third one, same thing. Look at all the wonderful layer assembly. A lot of layer masks were used and implemented to produce this transparency effect. You see, this is the original drawing that was there, and this was the the um, the black overlay that they put on top. So it looks like a shadow of the original person. Okay. So that was also well done and all Photoshop stuff basically. Packaged file. So this is like the final delivery of the ad. This is when you add the typography and the layout in InDesign and you execute the print ready format. So notice the Photoshop file didn't have the type. It just had the imagery and stuff. You go to InDesign, you put your layout together and you put your typography on top. Okay. So that's how you deliver your ad campaign. And then there's the social media aspect. Okay, now the social media, I think there was another size option that they did. She did a little. I think there was more like a vertical format. Wasn't the 1080 by 1080 pixels. So I think that was already questioned and communicated, and I think I understood the motive, and I was okay with that because there's different ad campaigns you can make for different sizes. It doesn't always have to be 1080, although that's the one I recommend because that's what social media, I mean, the metaverse uses. Okay. All right. Now there's a lot of folders to go through. I'm not going to cover all of this, but I'm just going to pick out a few, interesting ones to show you the approach and the delivery for this. So here again, we have, social media ad here. There's the ad. A lot of great typography used on this one. It's an Under Armour ad. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh, that was like more like a Humber commercial because it says Humber here, but it's an Under Armour ad. So that's the deliverable InDesign files, links. Let me show you the Photoshop files now. So under Photoshop, I'll show you the Photoshop support files that are there. By opening one up, you can see here all the layer work that's done. So you have, let me just move this out of the way for a second here. All right, I'm just going to do this. So there's a lot of implementation with masking as well. Okay, there's like images and typography and some masks and effects that go along with it. Okay, so they can see here how the whole thing was kind of put together in Photoshop. Even some good typography tricks you can pull off. All right, so same thing here, all across all three. They're all Photoshop type of supported formats for the overall campaign. Okay. And of course, all the person did in InDesign is put the rest of the information. All right. That was Benjamin. Let's see here. Manasvi. Here's another good one here. Okay. So shop now, Photoshop. Okay. Open up the Photoshop file. You can see all the Photoshop layers that took place, right? So again, a good way to kind of put this all together. And then in InDesign, you prepare the file for print or whatever the criteria is for for that part that you have to do. All right, there's another one here. So all this stuff is done in separate layers. Even the typography, although I recommend you do this in InDesign, I don't think you should do the whole ad in here, honestly. Just do like the images portion. Just a good example of that, I would refer back to this one, Jessica, or even, yeah, I think she had the good idea here. Just do the images. Don't do the typography, okay? Do this and then do the typography after, in InDesign and stuff. And then maybe in Illustrator prepare some of the other stuff that you have to do. All right. So that's pretty much where we're going with this. Here, Thanksgiving, eh? You just had the Thanksgiving. Some Coca-Cola ads and stuff. Joseph. And then here's the social media versions of the ads. So you'll notice there's the print version, social media version. So if it means you have to redesign the ad or just kind of, rejig it here a bit here and there, then that's fine. This is the social media version, and that's the print version. The message is the same. The images are pretty much relevant. You just have to change to fit the constraint and the size. You have to do a little rejigging, okay? Same as this one here, right? I think that was the same one actually. So social media, print, social media. So I kind of like how Joseph implemented some extra added elements for the social media portion. So consider that as well. Sometimes it's important to, your audience might be different, the delivery is different. So you have to cater to that and take everything into consideration, right? Um, yeah, some more stuff over here. This is a nice Dove ad. So if I show you like the PSD file again, you'll see all the different layers and stuff that are put together, right? The soaps and the splashes and the coconuts and the trees and the flowers and all the nice stuff. Okay. So again, this is the social media ad campaign. I'm sure you saw some other samples from the other teachers. I'd love to show you all of them, but that's gonna waste all our time. So we move our PSV file to InDesign to create the text, so we can add the text on that. You do the text in InDesign, yeah. Yeah. You do just the images in Photoshop, okay? All right. Okay, perfect. So then now let's move on to so that's the ad campaign, okay? Now I got some book covers to show you as well. This is your next project. So the book cover, as you can see, it's similar to the poster, but the book cover, you're going to learn more setup and pre-press techniques as well, which I'm going to demonstrate today. Same people that I showed you earlier produced the same type of, well, this is the other project. So this is the Elon Musk, I guess, the book on Elon Musk, and you can do an actual mock-up and show me what the book will actually look like. There's a lot of great templates and tools out there that will do this for you. So this is how that was done by the students. And you can see how if I open up the Photoshop file, you're not just making the book cover, like the front. You're producing the spine and the back because it's gonna be like an actual, like a wrap, like a book cover wrap. Okay, so it's gonna wrap around the whole like a sleeve, right? So it's a cover sleeve, and whether it's a hardcover, you're gonna have the sleeve wrapping around the front, the middle, and the back. And this is the delivery you're gonna do in Photoshop. Here's the layer breakdown. Here's the front. Here's the spine. Here's the back, and here's the background. A perfect way to set up your book cover. I know I keep saying do the type in InDesign because this is a Photoshop class. You're doing everything in Photoshop. Look, Photoshop is great typographical controls also. Not as good as InDesign and Illustrator, but you can still do some stuff like this, no problem. Professionally, again, I would recommend you can maybe do the type in InDesign just because you're setting up the print. But either way, it'll work. Okay, nothing wrong with this as long as the resolution is good. When you print this, it's going to be okay if you output it properly, right? So this is one example of the book cover. Let's see another one over here. This is the other book cover. So here's Hunger Games. You can see all these different favorite books that you might have or these students have, and they made the book cover on that. So this is the book cover, and this is the actual mock-up for the book cover. A lot of students do mock-ups these days to show how this looks like. So same thing here, the cover, the middle, and the back. So when you wrap the book, you can see how it looks like. Okay. And you can do like a nice PDF version of it. The PDF would be nicely exported from Photoshop into like a print ready format. Look, you even put the barcode and everything. So again, the Photoshop file is here. You can see all the elements that took place to make this book cover, right? So it's not just the a lot of masking, overlays, images, and things like that. The typography worked out well. If you have to do this in Illustrator and bring it in, that's fine too. You can use various programs, but all this is done basically mostly in Photoshop, put together nicely in layer groups to put it all together. A very fun project, and it's a good way to have it in your portfolio. A lot of my students, I see them on portfolio night when you guys graduate. I guess it'll be for you. It'll be near the summer, actually the springtime. You're gonna have a portfolio night, and you're gonna have these projects to display. So I'd like to see some of the Photoshop stuff you've done in the past, and then of course when you become more experience, you can have more professional work to show off. For now, you're going to show off your skill set and what you can do. And here's the mock-up for that book cover as well. Okay. So I love to see the mock-ups. It's something that I kind of don't have it as a mandatory thing, but I would like to see students go above and beyond to show me their book cover deliveries. Okay. Here's another one here. I think this was not finished actually. Right. So you can see how there's another book cover here, and there's the mock-up. The Three Musketeer. Mock-up. If you want to get your own ideas of a book cover, I mean, you can see the vast book covers out there, and you can see the latest book covers. I mean, a lot of them are Photoshop type of, you know, design pieces because let's face it, I mean, you're not gonna do this anywhere else, right? Especially with the letters and the typography and the some of the imagery that takes place, the effects and the blends and all that stuff. Even the typography, sometimes you can bring it from Illustrator, bring it to Photoshop, and do your thing with it, right? But a lot of this is, pretty much Photoshop, heavily Photoshop used. Oh, sometimes it's illustrations as well, right? But things like this, I mean, you're definitely going to use Photoshop with a combination of, Illustrator here and there. Um, Technically, in InDesign, you would produce the actual overall delivery with the print settings. But because I'm not gonna this is a strictly Photoshop project. You can do everything in Photoshop for me. I will do a class just to show you how to do that part as well. It's optional for you to know. That's why the other assignment I went over, the composite, teaches you how to use InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop, whereas this one is strictly Photoshop. So please don't mix up the two. This is a Photoshop project, okay? All right, so this is pretty much the book cover. You can look up the the latest book covers that are out there. Go to Chapters or Indigo and see what they have, and maybe pick up a book and see if you can get some ideas from that one. Here's another question I get asked: Can I redesign an existing book cover? Well, The Great Gatsby has so many versions of it. Moby Dick has a lot of versions of it. So if you feel a way to redesign an existing book cover, go right ahead. I want you to maybe redesign an existing book cover and make it happen. So that's a possibility, and that's definitely something that students have done in the past. Okay, like 1984 and some other famous titles that people love, right? Okay, so go ahead and redesign an existing book cover or create a book cover from scratch. I had students create book covers from video games. They just converted like Grand Theft Auto or whatever, something like that. They made that into a book, okay? And they asked me if they can make a book cover out of the video game. I said sure, and that's just a good way to have some fun with it as well. So if you have any idea that you want to incorporate with this and have more fun with it, I'm pretty open to ideas, okay? So you can do that as well. All right, so I showed you a lot of samples so far, and from time to time, I like to do that to kind of keep things in perspective and for you to kind of see where we're heading with this. So now that I showed you these samples just to kind of point you in the right direction. So this is the next items on the to-do list. Your composite assignment is something that you're going to do in all your classes. It's your magazine ad campaign. What I showed you there is what I want. Give me put all in a folder, zip it, and just hand it in. Whatever you give to Roberto or the other teachers, give it to me. Even Sheila, I think, if you have a delivery part, just put all in a folder, and I'll dissect it and look for the Photoshop parts, just like I demonstrated with the students. So this is due at the end of the month, okay? When is it due, by the way, in your other classes? When is your composite assignment due? I just want to make sure we're on the right page here. Anybody want to just share that with me quickly? When is your composite assignment due in Roberto's class
I
or
think on
Sheila's
the
class?
31st.
So it's the same week, right?
Yeah.
We're not too far off. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure I'm not off by a week or two, right? If it's within the same week, this is my goal. So that's good. The book cover, okay? It's I think it's due November the 6th. Okay, so I'm gonna make this visible to you now. And let's go over the book cover quickly since I showed you samples of the book cover student examples. Here's the instructions. So for this project, you'll be designing a book cover of your choice. You might have a favorite book that you like and perhaps even a popular book on the shelves that you just heard about. The criteria is very simple as long as you choose the book and stick with the theme and details such as dimensions, etc. Photoshop will be the main application for this project, as many graphic designers have made the same choice as well. You may also incorporate all of the program features such as layers, effects, typography, and design. Try not to go bigger than 8.5 by 11 because that would be a larger format than most paperback or hardcover standards. So today I'm going to show you how to work within the 8.5 by 11 standard, which means if you print this book cover on a regular US letter paper size, you can still create a mock-up effectively, cut it to size, and wrap it around a real book, like make it look like a mock-up if you like. So that's why 8.5 by 11 would be ideal to do the whole thing to fit it on 8.5 by 11. Because a lot of these books fit in your pocket or your backpack or your small bag and stuff. They're paperback books, right? Or hardcover, paperback, either one will work. So here's the requirements for the project. So full mock-up. So you're going to create the front. Just some spelling things there. You got to do some. So front, spine, and back, basically. Minimum of 7 images / layers. And that's all included. I mean, that's really the least you can do, right? Organization of layer groups. I've never put that in because we just kind of learned that recently in the past few classes. So it wasn't part of your criteria in the previous movie poster, although some of you did use it, which is great. But I want to see this more now heavily used into your book cover because you got to organize the sections in such a way that you have, as I showed you earlier with the previous students, they had the front, the back, the spine. So these are all different groups. And then the background could be another group that you might have to put it all together. Just to quickly a recap of what I'm showing you here so you understand. I like to keep things nice and clear for you. I think Jacktar did a good job with that. So there's the front group, there's a spine group, there's the back group, and there's the background group. So it's all in groups. If I open up each group, I see the layers, right? There's the layers right here. So you can see each layers inside the group. There's the back as well, and there's the background. Okay, so there's a lot of different layers and groups that go into it. I think there was more layers, but sometimes you can flatten certain layers to minimize space. So all in all, I mean, if you look at this whole file here, there's not that many layers, okay? There's probably about a dozen or so, maybe less than a dozen, okay? To do the overall book cover design. All right, so that was just one example there. I think I had another example. Okay, there's more layer clipping. See, there's a lot of stuff here. Some layer effects, layer clipping. Like this fire, for example, if I do this, you can see how it's going to show the whole thing or not. I'm going to show you layer clipping in a lesson by itself. Okay. So that's what I mean when I say organize your work in such a way that it's easier for you to manage and, keep things nicely tidy up. Okay. So that was the examples I'm referring to from my huge cohort I had last year. So full mock-up. Okay. So layer groups is what I'm stressing here. Minimum of 2 layer blends. So that's things like I want you to see as a creative designer, implement some of these Photoshop techniques like layer blends, layer masks. Okay. A layer mask could be also layer clipping. I'm going to put / clipping, and you'll understand what clipping does when I cover that. It's a different way to layer mask. You're using a vector shape to clip certain parts of the image. A type treatment, at least 2 different fonts or styles. The rule of thumb is you should never use more than 2 fonts per, page or design. Same goes with websites too. You don't want to mix too many fonts. I mean, there's an exception of magazines and stuff because sometimes certain things pop out in different ways. You can use several styles of a font. But far as the font differentiation, you should keep it to minimum of, maximum of 2, maybe 3, but 2 would be like the ideal choice. Sometimes even 1 works. I want to see some vector design elements as well. We are gonna look at how Photoshop can handle vector shapes and vector elements on your design. So we're gonna cover all these things in the upcoming few classes coming up. The document dimensions are, I put 711 here. Okay, 711 means it'll fit inside 8.5 by 11 dimension. So 8.5, you trim it down to 7 inches. So you cut off 1.5 inches. And 11.5, you cut off 1/2 inch there. So 7 by 11 will fit inside 8.5 by 11. As long as it's equal to or less than, which in this case, that passes that criteria. The resolution, I kept it at 200 dots per inch because it's for print. And between 200 and 300 is not much difference to note. So I think 200 is more manageable when you get sources off the internet and things like that. So I kept it at 200. In the color mode, you can work in RGB, but when you output it, you're going to put it to CMYK. So that's why I put RGB / CMYK. Also, there's books that you can publish on Kindle and other forms of, ebooks and things like that. So for that reason, you got to have an RGB version. But when you print a book, you have to convert it to a CMYK version. So you got to do both to convert each one. Okay. So that's something I can show you later. You're going to do an RGB version in Photoshop and a CMYK in PDF. Okay, so that's one we're going to do there. I should actually add that in there just to be clear. So CMYK version of a PSD, of a PDF actually, and a RGB version of a PSD file. I'm going to show you all this. Okay, so whatever you see here, I'm going to cover all this stuff in the lesson today. And I think we're going to trickle over to the next week's lesson. So after the reading week, you're going to have next week. I'll see you back in week 9. We're going to go over this again quickly just to kind of finalize some of the leftover parts and components. Okay. Alrighty, so this is out of 20 points. It's due in 3 weeks. Again, it gives you time during your reading week to read a book and put some thought into it and come up with something exciting and creative. Alrighty, so that's it there. So that's the 2 items I'm kind of preparing you for. Okay, you have a question? Go ahead, raise your hand, please. Go ahead.
Can you do a book based on something like a play or something? look at that in a play or something?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do a play if you like. Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Okay. Very good. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you can do any theme that you like. Like I said, a lot of people did their own themes of book covers because, books can be made and published in many different genres and ideas, events, anything, movies, right? So anything that you want to make the book cover out of, you can. All right. So grab the, let me just quickly here again, go to your module for today. This is your module number 7, book cover. Download this exact extractable file here. It's a zip file, the book cover exercise files, and we're going to start with that momentarily. We're going to grab a break at 10. So as far as we go, we're going to grab a 10-minute break just to kind of get the eyes off the screen and rest your brain for a bit, and then we'll come back for like 10 like we normally do, right? So this is your book cover exercise file that I just mentioned. Simply extract that by double clicking on it. You can see how it's going to go like that. And in here, I think I change the books from time to time just to keep my job a little more exciting. We did Jaws before. We did like a scary horror movie, for the Halloween times and stuff. This is another famous book that was really popular in the early 2000s, The Da Vinci Code. This is the original book cover. Notice how it has the nice gold, shiny a texture on the writing. It's funny because I'm holding a card right now. I'm going to show you how to, well, not to show you how to do this, but you can actually print this stuff. Let me just show you quickly what I'm talking about here. Keep you guys more engaged. Oh, so this is the shiny stuff that you see on some printing stuff. Okay, you can see how it's nice and gold. Even this, like the logo, is nice and shiny. Oh, why is it not showing? Oh, there we go. So to print this like that, you have to do some setup, okay? And you can actually print anything in this metallic gold type of texture. So yes, that's possible to do, but you have to actually execute it in, I think Illustrator would be the best way to put the actual spot color to do that for you, okay? So that was something I wanted to share with you. That's what this gold texture is. A lot of times you see these book covers, they have this emboss or deboss or a metallic finish. Keep in mind that costs more money to produce, right? So you're paying, like this business card I showed you for my dental platform, it cost me like $1 per card. So you print like 500 business cards, that's $500, right? So it's you got to make sure you're wise when you spend your money because if it meets the like for this, I had to be done because the gold. But if it's necessary, you do it. If it's not, then you're just kind of wasting your money printing fancy paper, right? But some of these book covers that I see out there, they're kind of over and above with everything. So this is one of them here with the gold type and the gold finish. Okay. So if you do see those, you're not going to be concerned about that for this project, but something to keep in mind. You can produce this visual effect in Photoshop, but as far as executing that on print, you have to tell the printer, hey, run this spot color with a metallic, and they know what to do on their end. But the preparation might be a little different. I can probably show you this next time I see you. I'm not going to get too technical right now. So that's the original book cover of the Da Vinci Code. Let me just see if there's other versions out there. Da Vinci Code. Yeah, so you can see here many different versions. There's the one so Dan Brown was the popular author for that. Here's another popular book. And you have the Mona Lisa, quite popular there in this version because if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, it's a lot of different secrets and stuff, conspiracy and things like that, if you're into that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can see a lot of versions of this book have been done, right? So our job today is to kind of approach this book cover in a way that they did and come up with their own creative way to put this together, and more so to learn the methods that you're going to implement and put together as as you go step by step. Okay. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and so these are our sources, right? I just picked a random image here that we're going to use as a background, just like a creepy looking hill with some silhouette trees in the background. We have a texture of it's not blood, it's an ink splatter. They use a lot of red ink and dyes, and when you do those wax stamps and stuff. So maybe that'll be like a texture we're going to utilize in the book cover. This is the author. The gentleman's name is Dan Brown. He's the famous author of the Da Vinci Code. We're going to kind of clip the image and use them in the back to write something about the author. Then we have the very famous Mona Lisa. Okay, and we can make her smile a bit more with AI, or we can integrate that image to keep the legacy of the integration of the Mona Lisa imagery. And if you noticed, pretty consistency throughout all the other book covers that was used. So we'll do a minimalistic approach with this, just a hint of Mona Lisa in our design. And this is just a texture I got off the internet we're going to utilize for some of the backgrounds and stuff. So I just gave you a few things to work with. We can always go online and get more stuff, or of course, when you do this book cover for yourself, you're going to do the same thing and collect your sources, which you should be doing first before you start. So plan your design, work on your thumbnails, get your ideas together on paper, and then basically what you do on the digital end is you collect all your data, all your sources, and you start putting your things together. Okay. All right. Any questions before I begin? Any questions? All right. How many of you are excited about the book cover? Let me just see hands up, or give me a thumbs up if you guys like the project. Very good. I usually get a good handful of people, or almost everyone likes the project. It's a pretty unique one and a pretty rewarding project, because not only you get to learn some of the more advanced Photoshop techniques to make something like this happen, you can then apply this to a lot of other things. Like, it's easy to put a montage together and design, but have it print ready, have it professionally executed is the key here. So you're learning more technical principles and methods, whereas not just creative things that you slap together with bunch of layers and stuff, right? So it's about the execution and the purpose of this, and that's a good portfolio piece as well. All right, good to hear that. Thanks for sharing. Let's go ahead and prepare the setup. Now we're going to grab a break at 10 o'clock, okay? Right, and then we're going to start again here. So the setup is this way, okay? We're going to create a new file. We're going to create a new file here. We're going to go to print. Okay, so the print file is here. And we're going to look at the actual delivery. So 8.5 by 11, let me just grab a piece of paper here, is your standard page. If you look at any mail that you have or any piece of paper lying around your house, it's most likely it's 8.5 by 11. That's the most common standard North American piece of paper. So we're going to work with that paper, because you can go to Staples and print that for 50 cents, maybe $1 or something like that, right? Per one copy. So you can have a nice copy of this when you're done. So we're going to try to fit this book cover onto this page. Now we're going to do that by making it landscape. Okay. So, oops, what happened here? So 8.5 by 11. I'm going to change it by accident. So 8.5 by 11, landscape. Okay. So the width is 11. The height is 8.5. Just to be clear on this, I want to make sure you guys understand my whole, doing this virtually sometimes it's cool, but I gotta show you guys exactly talking about. Alrighty, so here. So this is your portrait version. Sorry about the blur, guys. I don't know what's going on here. So this is the portrait version, and this is the landscape version. So this is 8.5 by 11, just a standard piece of paper. And we're trying to basically put the book cover here. So this will be like the front, the spine. We're gonna put all together on this piece of paper here. It should fit on this, okay? So that's pretty much what we're aiming for. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, US letter. Legal is a little longer. They use it for like statements and invoices and stuff. It's 14 inches. So it's slightly taller. Tabloid is two of these together, which was the movie poster you guys did. Then A4 is more like a European standard. So in Europe, they use millimeters and centimeters, and that's the format for that. So North America, US letter size, 11 by 8.5, because it's landscape, not portrait, right? Because that's the way the format will be. We're just gonna downgrade this to 200 resolution, okay? And now let's talk about the book cover, because if it's gonna fit on 8.5 by 11, okay, we're gonna actually go ahead and shrink this down to 7 inches. So instead of 8.5, we're gonna make this 7. So it's gonna be 711, okay, at 200. So once you pick letter size, you modify it to these specs. Why am I going through this whole process in a very explanatory type of manner? Because I want to show you that this fits inside the 8.5 by 11 format. So I wanted to make sure I'm clear on that. So 11 is the width, 7 is the height, okay? Or if you want to do 8.5 by 11, you can, but this is a nicer type of paperback format, okay? So RGB color mode is something we'll start designing with a white background. We're going to go ahead and hit the create button, and that's how we start. I'm going to upload this on the portal at the end of the class, but before we get there, we're going to talk about the guides, the setup, the rulers. Okay, so make sure your layout looks like mine here. Okay, that means if you go to workspace, make sure you're in the essentials default workspace. For one, make sure your tools are always set up to 2 columns like this, right? And make sure your rulers are visible. So if you press Command or Control R on your computer, or go to View Rulers, which is Command R, Control R, you get to see the ruler show up in Photoshop. We never use the rulers to any great extent so far, but for this, we'll definitely have to use the rulers to create the guides. And I don't like how it's in pixels here, so I'm going to change the units to, watch this. If you right click on the ruler at the top, you can change it to inches. So now it's a little more kind of familiar with my dimensions. So I know it's 11. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 inches in width and 0 to 7 inches in height. So 7, 11. So make sure, again, you right click and you change this to inches to get familiar with that. Okay, perfect. So this is the setup. Now, before we save this as a template, we're going to create the spine elements. So half of 11.
How do you make this again? Again, my phone a bit slow to start up. How do you make this again to make screen again? My a bit slow. How do you make this again?
Well, I'm going to share this file with you, but I'll show you one more time, okay? So if you go to File, New, 11 by 7 inches. So first you go to Print. Make sure you go to Print. Select letter size. So that'll give you 8.5 by 11, which is what we want.
Slow down, I tell you slow.
Okay.
Slow down,
So again, if you don't get this file, this is being recorded. Watch the video later and follow along nicely, okay? I'm gonna upload this file on the portal so you can download it.
11 by
7. 7-Eleven. Yeah. And make this 200. So it's less than 300, okay? Make sure it's inches, not pixels.
All right, got it, got it.
Okay, so press OK or create, and that's the size. Sorry, Vanessa, do you have a question?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not able to see like the toolbar on the side, or my ruler is looking different from yours, and I'm not sure why.
Are you under the workspace essentials?
Uh, I go to window.
Mm-hmm. Window, workspace, essentials
Yeah.
default.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there. That's there.
Okay. Also, are you let's see here. Application frame, is it on or off? Application frame. Make sure that's on to see all these tools here.
Where do I find that part?
How about why don't you share your screen so I can see what you're saying, so I can kind of point you in the right direction.
Okay, no problem. I'll share my screen.
Okay. All right. And I'll do the same here with my stop
Okay.
sharing mine.
Um. Okay. So I don't know if let me broaden it. Oh, so okay. So the only time I'm able to what just happened? I don't know if you're seeing my screen.
I can see your screen. Yeah. I'm just trying to
Okay.
figure out what you're doing here. So what version of Photoshop is this?
It's the version that I downloaded on.
Okay, that's fine. So
One second.
go to window, the window menu. No, like in Photoshop, right? You had a window there. So go back to
Okay.
Photoshop. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you closed it by accident. Okay, just keep it open and I'll walk you through it there.
Okay.
Nice background.
Oh, thank you.
All right, your tools. First thing, your tools. Make it 2 columns. Click on that little button at the very top.
This one right here?
Yeah, always keep it 2, okay? Always.
Okay.
So you can see everything that I'm showing you properly. Now go to window, the window menu, right there, yeah. Workspace.
Yep.
Okay. And you want to click on essentials. Go to reset essentials. Go down, hit reset. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. So maybe sometimes you have to reset it. Make your tools back at 2 columns on the left there. The tools.
Okay.
Right. Now you're good. Okay. So go to
Okay,
file new. Go to file new. Make a new file.
New. Okay.
And you're gonna go 7-Eleven. Yeah, perfect. Inches. Yeah, you're good. Press OK.
Okay. And create.
Great. There we are.
Okay, is the ruler the ruler right or no?
So if you right click on the ruler, right click on it at the top ruler, change it to inches.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. That's good. This is it's easy when you guys share your screen so I can see everything that you're trying to show me, right? That's good. So yeah, now Vanessa has the same interface like me, and that's for all of you guys. Okay, I know there's a few more people out there, and I even in the class, I just walk around and see this going on. Come on, guys, like, why would you have this one column, right? You can't even see anything down here. You can't see if there's a mask, or especially in Illustrator. That's like my pet peeve when I see an Illustrator. People struggle, like, where's my gradient? Well, you're not gonna get your gradient like this. You're not going to do anything like this. You have to make sure this is set up like this so you can see everything properly, right? So always make sure this is 2 columns, not just in my class. I would do that in Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, all across the board. Okay, so you know what? It's 10 o'clock, guys. I got to just grab a quick break. So let's grab a break. Do me a favor, save this, and then we'll continue when we come back. Save this, call it book cover templates. Okay, save that on your desktop as a Photoshop document, and we're gonna continue with this. And it'll gives you time for some of you guys to catch up if you're just watching me do this. So make a new document, okay? 7-Eleven 200 DPI, and I'll see you guys back here in 10 minutes. Okay, all right. I'm also stopping the recording so we can have 2 segments as well.